Chapter 1, Introduction. We decided, or rather I did, that we would start exploring ourselves in a slightly different way. To do so, we have to be sure that terms we commonly use have the same meaning to you and me. Throughout this book, I will be using many terms which I have used all my working life. At the risk of boring you senseless before you start, I will try to define just what they mean. Daydreams. I promised we would talk about daydreams and I meant it. Daydreams, unlike dreams, have not been fully explored. I am going to expand their definitions. Daydreams are part of what we will call automatic thinking. Okay, I'll explain what automatic thinking is. Automatic thinking is the thought process running in the background. We are not aware of it, but we could be if we simply chose to be aware. Imagine asking yourself, is there an alternative? To most things, there are. The alternatives are housed and selected in automatic thinking. The thoughts are most definitely not subconscious. Automatic thinking is made up of three main components: the alternatives and choosing the appropriate thoughts, beliefs and daydreams. Don't worry, I will explain it all. Just accept that what I am saying has a certain logic and is the first step down the path. Automatic thoughts are three blueprints: alternatives, beliefs, and daydreams. Sometimes, we have to isolate our daydreams from any possibility of execution. Our daydreams, whenever we are aware of them, need censoring. Herein lies an enormous problem. Automatic thinking is part of the automatic everything. In other words, we are not aware of even more processes. Briefly, we have automatic feelings and automatic behavior. We need ground rules to understand. So, let's look at our basic building blocks. The building blocks. Psychiatry deals with three parameters: how we feel, how we think and how we act. Of course, all three work in tandem and are closely interconnected. I'm going to take a detour. I do this often. Bear with me, please. Physics, the purest of science, allows itself to define the same thing in two different ways, as a wave or as a particle. I believe that experience can be defined similarly as either a thought or feeling. For the most part, experience is defined by one or the other. In fact, it's both. It has been convenient for us to regard ourselves as thinking machines who also feel. I think we're simplifying things because we cannot explain ourselves in terms of emotions. Nevertheless, for every thought there is an emotion and for every emotion there is a thought. You read, think and feel. Try hammering a nail and hitting your thumb hard. If you hammered your thumb, you would feel and think, and probably curse. Our problem is to explain how the two are really one. The division we make is artificial and is there because we need it to be there to understand. Surprisingly, both the ways we think and feel develop at an early age and pass milestones at similar stages as they develop. Thoughts and feelings are of no consequence if we do not discuss the behavior. This brings us to our first definition, which defines personality as the style of feeling, thinking and behavior a person exhibits. The way we feel, think and act is our personality. As you will see later, the way our thoughts and feelings develop can help us classify what kind of personality we have. I want you to be able to picture us as a very smart computer. I know that very often the computer is thought to be much smarter than we are. In Israel, we have learnt that as smart as a bomb may be, it becomes very stupid if used stupidly. I often look at someone and wonder how our Creator must feel 2.4 billion years after the Great Extinction. After all the evolution since, how can we still be so achingly stupid? I hope, unlike the dinosaurs, we do not get a bloody great rock heaved at us. But, if it comes, we did deserve it. Another joke. One of my favorite graffiti was the advert, Lamborghini designed by a computer and built by a robot. To which was added, and driven by a moron. This smart human computer can store events and compare events and predict. Because of its predictions, it will behave in a certain way. Our present is our experience of reality. We test reality continuously. Our reality is what we think, feel and how we behave. As such, it is personal and subjective. But, why do we have to test and measure reality? Because we are part of a continuum of our past realities and our possible future predicted reality. Yes, we are living in a science fiction drama. When healthy, we manage quite well. In many ways, reality testing is the flimsy interface between the past and the future. Of course, you will have noticed, I have avoided mentioning that computers don't feel, and computers have no self-awareness. A computer has no idea what reality and non-reality is. For the PC, everything is the reality of here and now. Future and past are nanoseconds, they have order, but no time scale. Their reality is a program someone put there. The whole concept of emotions is part and process of that person's experiences. My experiences are what I feel. The human computer identifies itself and its personal program and not any program it houses. What we experience is part of our development, and how we develop is part of what we experienced. In our development, as you will see, our ability to be aware and define ourselves and others is a very important part of our development. When these abilities break down, the person will become severely mentally ill. They may not become psychotic, they certainly will be severely disturbed. The bedrock of the psychiatrist's understanding is reality testing. We can only test the reality if we know what is real and what isn't. That seems obvious, but let me explain further. The reality we experience is different from that of the computer. Why is this so? Because we automatically compare what we are seeing and experiencing with what we have seen and experienced. When we do this, we can compare what the results were then and what they probably will be now. We can make distinctions between what happened and what might happen. There is one important rule for this to occur. We must be able to store our experiences serially. By this, I mean that we are capable of handling events sequentially. A vital part of sanity is the ability to set everything out in a time framework. Do not forget our stored experiences are thoughts and feeling. The PC only does thoughts and binary ones at that. You're beginning to see a picture where experiences are stored and compared. You have probably guessed that dreaming is part of the storage process. It is subconscious, and dreams are not part of our conscious. They are stored in a different program language from that used in our conscious. They are not stored ordered in time and space. When the past memory bank tears through the flimsy curtain of the present, then the person is psychotic. Why? Because the program language is different. Imagine if your Windows program was replaced by DOS. Imagine all the neat, orderly logic is replaced by lines and lines of running giggly goop that only you understand. Imagine waking and living in a dream with muddled, mangled thoughts and feelings. Things mismatch and you are psychotic. We have delineated two levels of consciousness with bidirectional conduit between them. Consciousness being another word for experience and reality testing. I'm going to add another phase. The phase is the phase of not being aware. Consciousness has a partition hiding parts of the things we are unaware of, and there are many things. The difference between being unaware and not being conscious is that with a conscious effort you can become aware. With conscious effort you cannot be aware of what is unconscious. One of the central tenets of this book will deal with the processes which are going on in the background, behind the curtain in our conscious brain. The processes of which we are unaware of. The processes are controlling what we are thinking, what we are feeling and how we are behaving. These processes, the automatic processes I call the automatic everything. Imagine them sitting in the flimsy interface that is our present and can draw on what is happening and what has happened. But, they are usually hidden from us. Let's make a summary. We have suggested experience is a flimsy partition between the past and the future. Unlike a computer, we are aware of ourselves and others. We have an ability to compare what went before us and what might happen in the future. We store our experiences and draw on them in everything we do. In doing so, we recall how we behave, feel and think without being fully aware that this is happening. To compare the present with the past, we must be able to arrange events in a time sequence. We experience this by being aware of who we are and being able to arrange things in time and to refer to what was. We are then able to make predictions about what will be. Dreaming, as opposed to the automatic everything, is done in an unconscious state. When this is not so, the person is psychotic. I introduced you to the idea that emotions and thoughts are like particle and wave descriptions in physics of the same phenomena. Do not worry, I will explain everything at least twice more as we deal with the phenomena of thoughts, emotions and behavior. We will recap when we deal with what can go wrong in treatment. In the next chapter we are going to discuss automatic everything.
We are not
Automatic
aware of
everything
even more
is a brilliant
processes.
piece of biological
Briefly,
engineering.
we have automatic
As you will
feelings
see,
and automatic
with
behavior.
automatic
We need ground
everything,
rules to
much can
understand.
and does go wrong.
So,